Okay, everyone, so here we go. Lesson 1, Module 1, Building Compost. So the first thing we're going to talk about is getting you a compost collector. I like to use a recycled plastic jugs a lot, or you could use a fancy ceramic pot. You can use an enamel container. So the two big things you need to know about composting is where you're going to put your compost in your house. So that ceramic jug in the background of that picture is where my mom keeps her compost. And then you also have to know where you're going to put compost outside your house in your bin. Like I talked to a little bit in the intro, that's my bin right outside my kitchen window. And those slats just come out. And so it'll hold a nice good foot or two of compost. But then it's easy to unload because you can just remove those slats. So you're going to collect your scraps. You can the tops of the tomatoes, the bottoms to the cilantro, onions or garlic peels or potato peels, carrot peels, like anything that you're using in the house. You're going to collect those scraps. You're going to either put them in a container in your house or you're going to take them outside. Usually we collect ours in the house and then, throw them out whenever. And then eventually you're going to spread it on your bed. So, is this starting over from scratch? Seems like it should just keep recording. So don't worry about what you need to put in your compost. I've got a great component cheat sheet for you that you can download. Or there's the bonus 3-ingredient cheat sheet that Mike made to make some power compost. That's basically just coffee grounds, eggshells, and banana peels. So there's the 3 big ones if you're saving those that you're going to want to keep. But also other things that go in, like I said, apple cores, banana peels, broccoli stems, cabbage cores, carrot, potato peels, any kind of greens. You can put fish bones and skin in there, but just, be warned, if you have any kind of predator problems, that might attract some kind of like raccoons or animals into your bin. We never, even though we live in the woods, never have problems with animals getting in ours. I think we had a skunk once. Sometimes the chickens get in there and scratch around. But for the most part, we don't have a problem. I mean, your compost pile, it's kind of a thing going on there that you really shouldn't have animals getting in there other than worms who like to eat it. So lettuce cores, some decomposable paper products like tea bags. Just make sure you know what they're made out of. Biodegradable containers, some newspaper. I worked at a golf club one summer as the cook, and we could put all their containers could go right in the garbage. I generally say stay away from meat or dairy products, no cheese, milk scraps, butter, chicken, beef, any of that kind of things. There's people out there that will tell you differently, but we stay away from that in our compost. Brown debris like fallen leaves, dried tomato, potato vines, corn or sunflower stalks, straw but not hay. You could end up with a lot of weeds that way. Chicken, cow, or horse manure that didn't come from animals that consume weed-free hay. Although we usually kind of keep that separate, but you can put it in your compost. Freshwater aquarium algae, plants or water, garden debris such as bolted lettuce, dead-headed flowers, or even weeds as long as they haven't set their seeds, grass clippings from the lawn, small pet poop and bedding, which means like from guinea pigs, gerbils, hamsters, rabbits, but not from dogs or cats. But we put my guinea pig the bedding in there that he pooped on, and that was great. So remember to make sure you bury things well so they don't attract animals, is what's on that compost component cheat sheet that you're going to get. And then also, like I said, Mike says the most important ones: coffee grounds, eggshells, and banana peels. So the very first step, I think, to building any garden is start saving your food scraps, your compost. You can do that in the middle of winter. At our house, we have these 3 old enamel pots. They're really easy to clean in the rain, but then, like I said, I transported a lot of compost, so when I brought it home, I would bring it from school in a plastic, like an ice cream container or folder. So if you're not already composting, I hope you'll start immediately. I hope you find something to put it in. So, stop this video, or when you're done with Module 1, I hope you'll get your compost plan growing, whether you're going to keep like I said, a ceramic pan under your sink or on your counter. And we toss food out there all year long. Coffee grounds, you name it, just freezes. The chickens start to mix it up a little in the spring, although we're trying to block them out of the garden area again. But it just basically decomposes them. Like my brother talked about, they just kind of do one composting all year. They collect it all year, all through spring, summer, fall, let it sit through the winter, and then in the spring he puts it out on the beds. So it does not have to be a big project. Like I said, my favorite anniversary gift is that beautiful bed there that Mike gave me. It's surrounded by flowers and just really close to the house. And then that's like a whole wheelbarrow full that he could get out of there. So, and in the hardest season, when we have grass clippings, as you can see, we've got quite a bit of lawn these days because we live in the woods. We like to have a nice green area around the house, keep fire suppression down. So we have lots of grass clippings to go in there. So build that black gold, and there's some different compost collectors that you can look at. Another thing I just want to touch on really quick is vermiculture, worm composting. So Denny Cray was my first guest, but he also came back on and got me all excited to try vermiculture. So I actually ordered the worms from, I think, Planet Natural here in Bozeman, but also I talked to Kathy Nesbitt from Kathy's Crawley Composters up in Toronto. I think she's in Canada. She's so fun. She's an educator, so there's lots of places to learn more about this. But it was really easy. Denny talked to me about it because he was saying how easy it was, and also because they didn't have a lot of compost at their house. Like, I'm a pretty big green eater. So some of the things that I did learn from composting in my classroom was, one, it needs air. I had the hamster cage on, the guinea pig cage on top of it, and so even though we drilled holes in the sides, needed more air. Otherwise, you're going to get rotting food, which is what we did. The other problem was when I put it in there, it was second semester, and I would go pick up my kids after recess and before. First semester, I picked them up. They went to recess and then went to lunch. And second semester, they went to lunch and then recess. So I didn't see them after they were going to lunch, and I didn't get to collect all that good broccoli and lettuce and carrot sticks and all the stuff that was left over on their trees like I thought I was gonna. But we had the breakfast scraps because we had breakfast in the classroom. So, but it was a lot more melons and grapes and pears, and the worms just weren't as into that as they are into lettuce and the things. Once we start having happy food and scraps. They're more into like dandelion greens and lettuce and things like that. But the worms grew like crazy in there. We had a great time. The biggest problem I had was keeping the kids out of the worms. They wanted to play with them a lot. And also I bought that clear plastic bin, as you can see. And worms don't like the sun, so we had to cover it. I thought it'd be cool if the kids could see what was going on in there, but we had to keep it covered. The worms didn't like that clear, so just something to think about. So, and then it filled up, that one plastic bin filled up that whole tub, and then I was able to grow things. So if you listen to my podcast, you know I call my audience Green Future Growers, so I put this little Green Future Grower bonus challenge in there. If you're already composting and you want to take this one step further, what scraps that are being tossed already could you collect? Is there a local restaurant, a coffee shop, a cafeteria at your school, a nursing home throwing away that black gold in the garbage, and you could collect a couple of times a week? Is there a community garden that could use some support, a neighborhood community compost pickup? What can you do in your local area to develop more sustainable living and education? So that's my challenge. Remember, healthy food starts with healthy soil. And if you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Mike and I are here to help you with your composting needs. I was so shocked when people said, don't start out your garden course with composting, which of course I didn't listen to because they thought it was me. Another thing I've heard a lot of people talk about, freezing their compost, putting it in the freezer and then tossing it, I've heard is a pretty good idea. So if you have any questions, if you had a bad experience in the past, let me know and we'll try to help you break through that challenge because, like I said, I like clean garden jobs, and I consider compost one of them, and it's pretty easy. If it does, there's probably something we can do to help you make it not smell. So, on to Module 2, manure.